Andrew Berry, Browns general manager today. The rationale behind the deal of Myles Garrett.
I know you all have heard me say for a number of years at this point that Myles Garrett, he's a foundational player, Hall of Fame worthy, and a homegrown talent that's been here for the decades. And our intent was to have him be a one helmet player for his career, and that was the truth. And even to this day, when Myles's career is over, we look forward to welcoming him back, into the organization. But there are moments, particularly in my job, where opportunities come up that, quite honestly, are unexpected, and they force you to stop and reevaluate and look at it and say, hey, is this something that could be really beneficial to the team? And that was the case in this instance where, it got to a certain point where we looked at, what the trade details were, and we asked ourselves, okay, do we hold here, regardless of, how, because of how emotionally right it felt, or do we ultimately make a decision that we think has a huge benefit to the team in both the short and long term?
So I guess the question, Sam, I'm curious as your opinion. The defense is going to take a step back because Jared Verse is a good young player, but he's not Myles Garrett. How much of a step back do you think the defense takes?
Well, the thing is, the defense may have been about to take a step back anyway. I mean, we're also dealing with this whole change in coach. Jim Schwartz gone. Jim Schwartz was the guy who had that defense absolutely cooking over the last couple of years with Myles Garrett in the fray. So this is the problem with the NFL is you almost never get a nice, clean A/B analysis of anything. There's always these confounding variables. So we were dealing with a defense that may have been about to take a step back anyway because they've shifted coach and scheme and they're going to something different. And now you're changing Myles Garrett. You're taking the best player in the NFL off that lineup and replacing him with Jared Verse. So, yeah, I mean, it could be a significant step backwards for this defense when you roll all of that together. But so the one area where I would quibble a bit with Andrew Berry is like, there's no way this makes them better in the short term, right? They're getting worse. They're taking the best player in the game off this defensive lineup and they're replacing him with somebody who isn't the best player in the game. So by definition, you're getting worse in the short term. But the long term, or at least the medium and long term, is where they expect to be a better team because of this. And I think getting Jared Verse back is a really important part of that. If you are trading away Myles Garrett, I'm not sure you could come up with a better player to replace him with to bring back as part of that trade than one of the best young edge defenders in football. A guy who is yet to be paid, yet to hit that second big contract. Of rookie contract guys, he would probably be the first name on the list of players you would ask to get back in a Myles Garrett trade.